welcome back to my weekly FPL review, and today we're looking at how we got on in game week 5. If you are a brand new visitor to the channel, I'm Phil, and welcome to the channel. And I didn't have a good week. I wasn't expecting it to be a great week given the fixtures that I was facing and given the fact that I was just rolling over. I didn't want to use a transfer. I'm saving transfers at the moment. I got 45 points. I've now got an overall tally of 287. It's possibly the worst start to FPL I've had for many, many years. But I'm not too worried. I was expecting a poor week. I got a poor week. But my overall rank has only gone down by a few hundred. So it's not so bad after all. I'm pretty much where I was after game week 4, and that's not so bad. The only bad thing about the week is that I have now gone down from 12th to 25th in the Old Man Phil League, but we can recover from here. I made some errors, and especially with playing the Chelsea players. I expected Chelsea to do a lot better against Manchester United, but they didn't. But how can I anticipate that Sanchez is going to get sent off before 10 minutes of the game were done? And then how could I anticipate that Maresco seemed to make some very strange decisions after the sending off? I couldn't anticipated that, and therefore, as a result, my Chelsea players really didn't perform, and there were 3 of them, which cost me big time. And when I look at my bench, I had Reinders on the bench and Senesi on the bench, which in the end proved to be poor decisions. I decided that Senesi's fixture against Newcastle probably meant that there was no clean sheet there. So I did play Goodmanson instead. Goodmanson got 4 points, but I would have been 5 points better off had I played Senesi. And then Reinders. I felt that as they were playing Arsenal, it might be better to go with the Chelsea players. That was a poor decision. Reinders coming out with not only defensive contributions, but also he got a 2-point bonus. He got 9 points in total. Had I not played Enzo, as I was considering at the time, I would have been also 8 points better off there. And then I probably would have had a green arrow. But overall, I'm not too unhappy about how the game week went, and I'm pretty happy with 45 points, and pretty happy that even though it's a red arrow all the way along this week, I'm pretty much at the same place as I was at the end of game week 4. Looking forward to game week 6, I'm just continuing to roll over. I want to collect transfers for game week 8, where I will be hopefully making 4 transfers in game week 8, and we'll take a look at what the plans are for that in a little bit. But next week, I'm hoping for a better performance. I have a team that looks good on paper, and I'm hoping for much better than 45 points next week. Sells in goal, playing at Sunderland at home. Van der Ven playing Wolves at home, as well as Udogie playing Wolves at home. And then Senesi with Leeds away. I've got to hope that there's going to be a couple of clean sheets at least in there. Spurs at some point are going to get a clean sheet, so doubling up against Wolves at home for the Tottenham defence now is a good game week to do that. I'm keeping Caicedo in the team just merely for his defensive contributions. They have Brighton at home, and you never know that he might get some sort of return. And then Salah away at Crystal Palace. I'm still going with the Salah and Haaland combination, and Semenyo away at Leeds. He didn't perform particularly well against Newcastle, but then nobody in that game performed well at all. And then Reinders comes back in. Burnley at home is a must fixture for Manchester City players. I have 2 attacking Manchester City players, and hopefully I'm going to get the results from them that I want. And then Wood, he's on his last legs, as we'll see later. He's got Sunderland at home, and if he's going to get returns, this is a game where he's probably going to get them. After that, though, come game week 8, 7 or 8, he's probably going to disappear from my lineup. João Pedro didn't play very well against Manchester United, but then who did? And so João Pedro with Brighton at home, I guess I have to play him. He's a solid pick for that game week, and I'm expecting, or hoping, should I say, that we get at least one return from João Pedro. And then Haaland. Haaland is a decision to make because Burnley at home seems to me the best place to be playing my triple captain. Whether I do or not, I'm unsure of at the moment, because I know that out there there's going to be so many people playing their triple captain on Haaland this week. Some are going to be wild carding so that they can bring him in. Some are going to be free hitting so that they can bring him in. But I do know a lot of people are going to be putting the triple captain on Haaland this week. There are other opportunities perhaps for Mo Salah later on, but will I have Mo Salah in my team at that point? Because one of the things I'm thinking about is that Salah has to go. I have to eventually choose between Salah and Haaland. And at the moment, I'm leaning towards Haaland. But if you remember Haaland last year, he got off to that amazing start and then he stopped producing. So at the moment, the jury's still out on these two. Is Salah going to improve? He's got a couple of games in order to change things around. And if Haaland starts to decline a little bit, then I don't know which way that's going to go. I do know that eventually one of them will go. So the question is, do I use my triple captain this week? I can't predict what I'm going to do in the future, so it's probably a good game week in which to use the triple captain. I don't know yet. It's a decision that I'm later going to have to make. And then on the bench, I will have Dubravka, Goodmanson home against Bournemouth in case somebody is not starting, and then Enzo at home against Brighton, and then Richards at home to Liverpool. He's my third substitution. So I have a strong bench should anything happen in terms of players not starting or in terms of injury. I think that's a good setup for next week. I planned for the long term. I knew that game week 5 was going to be difficult. It proved to be exactly that. But I think it's a team looking forward to game week 6 that will serve me well. Or at least I'm hoping, and on paper it looks like that's the case. And so we come to look at the damage done in my own league. We still have no easy way at the top, despite the fact that he didn't have a great week himself, only 43 points. He's still ahead, top of the charts at 320 points, and there is a gap between me and him now of around about 50 points. But that's not a gap that is unassailable. We can still work our way back into this. And as you can see through the list, you'll see your name somewhere there. I'm all the way down now in 25th. Not doing so well, but again, it's early in the season. I've got a good team for next week. I can make up points on a lot of people next week. And I think I'm set for a little bit of a green arrow next week. But well done to No Easy Way. I think he's doing really well considering how people have suffered at the beginning of the season. And well done to him. He's doing extremely well. And long may his luck continue, but not too long, I hope. And so looking forward to what my plans might be for game week 7 or game week 8. 3 transfers or 4 transfers, I'm not sure yet. I may save game week 7 and roll over again, which will give me 4 transfers in game week 8. Or I may play the 3 transfers in game week 7. And as it's looking now, it's probably going to be Salah out, although that might change if Haaland's form drops off. So Salah will be out. Wood will probably go as well as Enzo. And that frees me up 3 places. And I have the money in the bank now, which means that I can fill those places with very good players. There are players that I'm considering. Palmer is not going to be one of them at this point. I think his groin injury is a problem for Chelsea. It's a problem for Maresco, and I think his minutes are going to be managed very carefully over the next 4 or 5 weeks. I don't think we're going to be seeing Palmer playing for 90 minutes when Europe is around. He will be playing for 45, 60 minutes possibly. They're going to manage that very, very carefully. So it's probably not going to be Palmer. Arsenal players do have to come in. And if I do remove a defender, it will be Udogie, and that will make space for an Arsenal defender. I'm thinking about Calafiori, or I'm thinking about going traditionally with the Gabriel route. Probably leaning more towards Calafiori, or even maybe Timber, if Timber continues to start. I'm not sure yet, but it will probably be an Arsenal defender that comes in there. Arsenal's fixtures are so good over the next coming game weeks all the way up to Christmas. I think Arsenal's fixtures look a lot better than they've been. In midfield, I have a number of issues, but there are a lot of good players around about the 5.5 to 6.5 mark, which will make filling up the midfield much better than it has been in previous seasons. And I'm thinking about an Everton midfielder, perhaps even Dewsbury Hall, maybe Njai because he's on penalties, but it's possible that an Everton player will come into my team to fill up one slot. And then I've got to think about an Arsenal midfielder, and at the moment, two players from Arsenal impressed me. And Saka on his return looked very sharp. He looked like he was a creator. He looked like he's going to get returns eventually. And then Eze, who did get a return, a brilliant assist. And what was really interesting about how Arsenal played that game was how deep that as Eze began to play later on in the game. And he was almost, Gary Neville, I think, described him in a quarterback role. He just sat back behind everybody else and playing these direct balls over the top, one of which was eventually to lead to the goal. I think Eze looked particularly impressive. He's someone I'm considering to fill that Arsenal midfield spot. And then up front, it's going to be Gyökeres. I think Arsenal will score goals. I think he will get some of them. And he's just a danger in the penalty area. And he almost got a return against City. If the ball had not been deflected slightly behind him, he would have been with a tap-in. And Arsenal could possibly have gone on to win that game had things gone their way. I think that Pep made some very strange decisions as well. And having no forwards on the pitch once they equalised gave him a problem. So I think that's probably my plan. It's going to all happen around game week 7 or game week 8. I'm not quite sure yet. If I was thinking about wildcarding in game week 6, I wouldn't do it. I would just roll over. If you've got a half-decent team with the kind of fixtures that I have for game week 6, then there's no need to actually do anything. And I know people are going to want to get Haaland in for game week 6, and it might be better just to play your free hit at this point and then wait until game week 7 or 8 when you start to get your Arsenal players in. It's everything for me is going to happen probably in game week 8 the more I think about it. So big changes coming up, but at the moment for game week 6 I'm just rolling over, and probably for game week 7 I'm rolling over. The fixtures look good, the team looks good for those fixtures. If you've got a half decent team, I would wait till game week 7 when Arsenal's fixtures change. Game week 8 is probably where I'm going to do it. But who knows, it might start in game week 7. I will still have another transfer that I can use to bring perhaps an Arsenal defender in game week 8. So I would just hang on if you've got a half-decent team. Now, I know people will need to get Haaland in with Burnley at home, so it might be better just to use the free hit rather than wildcard. Save your wildcard until the fixture swing happens, and then you'll be in a much better place, I think. Just my thoughts on that. And so that's it for this short video today. Just the reflections on game week 5. I'm not too unhappy, despite the fact that I've gone down in both my own mini league and the overall rank. We've only gone down by a couple of hundred, so it doesn't make any difference really. I'm still pretty much where I was at the beginning of game week 5. And I knew that I was going to have a poor week, so I'm pretty happy to be pretty much where I was. I'm hoping for better results in game week 6. I'm hoping for a lot more luck, and I'm hoping that I pick the right players and that all my point scorers are not going to be on the bench again. One of these days, it's all going to come right. Is it going to be game week 6? I hope so. And if you are brand new to the channel, and why not, do all that good stuff that you can see on the screen right now. Support the channel. Help us to get to 10k subs. Somewhere I never thought I would be in my wildest dreams. And it will mean so much to me if I can eventually get to 10,000 subscribers. So all that remains to be said now is thanks for watching. Please take care of yourselves. Be safe. And I'll see you either in a stream for FM with Ipswich or in the next FPL video. Thanks for watching. See you soon.